to episode 56 of Stitched in Sweden. I'm Maria, and you can find me on Ravelry as M. Monska and on Instagram as Stitched in Sweden. Today I thought I would pop in and give you a little update on what I've been working on lately and talk about some plans for upcoming knitting. To start off, I guess I can tell you directly that I am wearing my Cybella pullover. This is a pattern by Carrie Bosich Hogue, who is also the, I guess, editor or creative director or something of the new Making magazine. If you haven't seen that, definitely check it out. And this is one of my favorite me-made sweaters. This is the first time that I am wearing it this season. I made it last year. And I knit this out of Quilting Company Chickadee in the egret color. It's really soft, it's held up really well, and there's just a little bit of pilling, but I think it would be taken care of easily with a little pill remover razor thing. But otherwise, it's, I think, looking very good for being, now about a year old or something. Actually, I don't remember exactly when I made it, but I do wear it pretty regularly. But yeah, that's pretty much it about this sweater. I think it fits really nicely, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. So I thought I would just tell you that while I remember. But let's start out with works in progress. I don't have any written notes this week, so I'm just kind of flying by the seat of my pants. Works in progress. This week I worked almost exclusively on the Redford, which is a pattern by Jared Flood. It's a men's pullover that I am knitting for Thomas, and I am almost completely finished with the knitting. So this is part of a big piece that I did this week. It's the back piece, and it's curling up. The back and the front are actually the only two pieces that are still not blocked. You can see the little V detail there in the front, which is in reverse stockinette. The rest is in stockinette stitch. And I did block the arms, the sleeves, and the side panels. Now these side panels are still pretty curly because I didn't really have a lot of pins to block them out, and I didn't really want to block them out strong, like harshly with pins. I just wanted to wash them, relax the stitches a bit, and kind of even things out to prepare for seaming everything together. But the sleeves are a little bit more flat and manageable. That's two of them there. So I don't know, this sweater is just a ton of fabric. And right now with my lighting it kind of looks like you can see through it a lot, but I think it has a really nice fabric actually, and it has a nice drape even though it's a pretty woolly yarn, I would say. It is woolen spun, so it has kind of that extra fuzzy loftiness to it, like Brooklyn Tweed's yarns, except for the new one, which I haven't seen. Well, I have seen it on the various social medias, but I am looking forward to getting my hands on some of the new yarn, which came out this week, I think. So anyway, Redford is going really well. I'm going to block the front and back pieces today now that I have my blocking mats back, which I'll show you why that is in a minute. But I should be able to get those blocked. They'll probably dry in 2 days or so. It's been pouring rain here for the last 2 days. And then I will be able to seam everything together and pick up for the neckband, which will just take an hour or something, I guess. So that is really exciting because it is just, it went really fast and it's coming to an end. Almost finished with it. I think he's going to like it a lot, so I hope so anyway. Other things that I worked on this week, in terms of knitting, I did finish I worked on and finished my Ramble shawl, which is a pattern by Andrea Mowry. This pattern is for an asymmetrical shawl, and it's a combination of stripes and brioche, and I'll show you here. It literally has just finished drying, and I think it's been drying for 3 days, 2 days, 3 days maybe. So I have my blocking surface back and I can start blocking the Redford. So here it is, and I am really happy with how it turned out. I have all the ends woven in, but they're just not clipped. It's huge, and there you can get kind of an idea of the size, I think. I think it's going to be really nice to wear. I think the brioche section blocked out nicely. It still has a nice squishiness to it, because sometimes I think when you block brioche you can sort of lose that. I don't know. If you're not careful, I guess, but I don't know what you have to be careful about. I think it's probably mostly the quality of the yarn in terms of how plump and squishy the yarn is to begin with, and how much it springs back to give you kind of this bouncy effect of the brioche stitch. And I have said before, I knit this out of Quilting Company. I used actually the leftovers from this sweater for the white part here. This is the egret, and the blue is bird's egg in finch, which is a fingering weight, so it is a fingering and combination of fingering and sport weight shawl, which really has very little effect. I think they pretty much turned out the same. Like, I don't think you really notice that the white is sport and the blue part is fingering. I think they kind of are very similar when knitted up together. So I guess I could put that on, but I have to take off my microphone. So maybe that gives you an idea. Oh, can you hear me? I don't know. Hopefully that gives you an idea of what it looks like. I think it will be pretty cozy to wear, and I'm looking forward to wearing it. I think I'll keep it on because it's cold and I just got home. So for those of you who are interested in how much yarn I use, this is how much I have left of the second ball of finch. I would guess that it's about maybe a third of a skein. These come in 50 gram skeins, so this is for the fingering weight. And then I had about this much left of the chickadee, and I have equal amounts for the egret, which is the white part I used in the brioche, and then frost, which is the light blue part that I used up here in the striped part. I have about equal parts of that left, but it did work with basically 4 skeins of Quilting Company chickadee and finch total. 2 chickadee, 1.5 finch. So the other things that I've been working on this week are my quilt, and I picked that up again after I had taken a break from it for a couple weeks, and I am really happy I did because now my quilt top is finished. Here it is. I'm not going to open it up because it's huge, but this is an Irish chain quilt that I'm making out of some Moda, I think it's called Moda Vintage. I don't remember exactly what the background is called. I think it's called Moda Modern Backgrounds, which is just, yeah, low volume, prints for the white part. Like there's some very light text and handwriting and stuff on some of the white fabrics, and then I have some which are just plain white, some with some other random kind of patterns on them. I really like this one with the white dots. And then the other fabric is the Rifle Paper Co. Their line of fabric from, I guess it came out in early fall. And I've seen a couple of sneak peeks of their new line, which I guess they will come out with sometime. I guess it probably will take a little while. I'm not sure how long it takes to do that kind of thing. But yeah, I really like their fabric, so I can see myself getting some of that in the future. I was on a little bit of a pause again from my quilt because I didn't have any safety pins, but now I got some at the store over the weekend, and so I can put the whole thing together, the backing and the batting, and then the quilt top. I need to iron the backing, which is just a sheet, so I've done that before and it's worked out okay. So I'm hoping that that will be fine. And then I will start quilting it. I think what I've decided to do is just to do some pretty simple lines, and I'm going to do like diagonal lines across here and this way too. And I'll do like those ones first, and then I'll see if I also want to put in on the white squares here, if I want to put in more lines. I'll just kind of have to see how it's going, I think. I might practice on one of the leftover, like I might make a little block with some leftovers that I have and do some practice for the quilting part. But I think it's going to turn out really nice, and now I just need to find some binding, and well, I need to quilt the whole thing first, so I'm getting ahead of myself. But it's really getting cold, so I need to finish that really soon. I got 2 lovely things in the mail this week that I thought I would share with you, and the first was a surprise from Alex Collins. This is Alex Collins Designs out of England, and she sent me one of her lovely market totes, which I am really pleased with. I think it's really, her designs are just really beautiful. I like the simplicity and the clean lines of them, and she has some sort of new, well, I don't know how new they are anymore. Time seems to be going really fast, but she did come out with some prints pretty recently, which she has up in her website, so I could definitely recommend to check this out. I brought this with me on Sunday. Yes, Sunday I went and met up with a friend, and we talked knitting and shared yarn and stuff like that. We never actually do any knitting, but still had a good time. So yes, check out Alex Collins. She has just, yeah, really beautiful things. So there's that one. I think I need to get an umbrella so that I can use that bag even when it's pouring rain. other thing that I got this week was something I ordered a couple of weeks ago, and this came, I ordered it as a special order from Ramble. I don't know how to say it. And I ordered 4 skeins of the Everyday Merino, which is a 100% virgin wool merino extra fine, and it's not superwash. It is 100 grams, 400 meters, which is 437 yards approximately, and this is the silky color. It's a really nice kind of dove gray with, the gray itself has some touches of pink in it, and then there's also pink, like bright pink, and some almost black speckles as well, occasionally in there. And I don't know if you can tell from this part of it just how squishy this yarn base is. Otherwise it's pretty tightly wound, but you can really see how springy it is from there. So I have 4 skeins of this, which will, you can see a little bit more of the black part there. These 4 skeins will become a test knit for Charlotte of the Charlotte and Gus podcast, and I am hoping that I get to start that soon. So I will keep you updated, let you know how that goes once I start. The other thing I've been planning is basically sweater projects for my yarn that I got from that I got last week from Frida Hughes, and I messed up one of these. Oh, whatever, I'll show you the other one. I wound up a ball last night, which is in my bag still because I brought it to school to knit my swatch. But if you remember this beautiful Hanami color, I think, which is a creamy white with bits of pink in there, and then also the pink and black speckles. And then I have this Dusty Rose skein as well. And I posted a picture on Instagram so you can really get a good idea of the colors, because the lighting is not great for my podcasts right now, and it will probably continue to be that way until summer. What I'm planning to do what I'm planning to do as of right now is to start with this sweater, and I've knit a swatch, just a stockinette stitch swatch, which is currently drying on my blocking mats on the floor. And I'm planning on possibly knitting a combination of 2 different sweaters, and those are the Gable sweater, which is a pattern by Hannah Fettig that was published in Brooklyn Tweed, and this is a basically plain stockinette stitch body, yoked sweater with a twisted rib detail on the bottom hem that has like a triangle in the twisted rib part that goes like up. There's a triangle at the center of the bottom hem, and it's in twisted ribbing. And then also the front hem is slightly higher than the back hem. And that's pretty much the sweater. So I really like the design of the sweater, and my friend who I met on the weekend has knit that sweater, and I think it looks nice. But for me, I know that oftentimes that type of yoke construction here, even though this sweater fits really well, oftentimes that yoke construction doesn't fit me super well. So I was thinking of doing raglan shoulders instead, and using, for example, the I just remembered that I printed out these patterns so I don't have to describe to you what they look like. But they are in black and white, so maybe it won't be super easy for you to tell. But I think I'll show you maybe instead the schematic because it's a bit clearer. Anyway, here's a schematic for the gable. You can see how that triangle ribbing detail is there. And so I would do that, basically the bottom detail of the gable and the sleeves and everything the same. I would do the shaping a little bit different, kind of custom body shaping for me. And then I'm thinking of using a neckline more similar to Nougat, which is by Justina Lorkowska, and this kind of scoop neckline is more appealing to me, and the raglan sleeves are there. I'll probably use this one because I have this pattern, but I think I was looking also at her Mira sweater, which is a textured pullover with a similar scoop neck like this, but I think it's a little bit higher of a scoop neck, which I probably would also do because if I have that low of a scoop neck for a wool sweater, I'm going to need a scarf also, which now I'm wearing a sweater and scarf, so I guess I could do that, but yeah. So I'm planning a combination of those two sweaters for this yarn, and when I got up to get my patterns, I got up and got my swatch too. Here it is, but it is wet. So I'm going to set it back down. But I think it's really pretty. I'm not planning on alternating skeins, which might bite me in the butt later, but I'm thinking instead of alternating skeins for the entire thing, I will alternate for a couple inches in the transition between two skeins, and hopefully that will be sufficient for some color blending if needed. For this yarn, I haven't quite decided yet, but I'm kind of also looking around and thinking about the possibilities for a nice fingering weight sweater. So let me know if you have any ideas for that. I have 3 skeins of this. I did make a bra this week, but I just realized that I'm wearing it, so I'm not going to be able to show you that. But perhaps I will be able to show you that next time. I made it out of a really nice ivory lace with black embroidery, sort of, not embroidery, it's just like black stitching accents. And I used some black elastics with it as well. I think it turned out really nice. It's not it's not a lace fabric that I would gravitate to normally, but I'm really happy with how it turned out, and the fit is great. So I will have inserted a picture hopefully for you here so that you can see it. I am planning to go to the sewing festival this weekend in Stockholm, and I'm planning on stopping by the Beware booth, which is basically the bra maker supplier in Europe, is also in Sweden. So she's going to be at the sewing festival, and I'm going to pick up some more underwires and a couple of elastics and things there. So I'm hoping that there might be some interesting yarn things as well. I think there will be a dyeing tutorial. Maybe I don't want to say that. A dyeing studio, like a dyeing class. It's not I'm not sure exactly, but maybe there will be some good yarn there. We'll see. A lot of times, well, the 2 times that I've been before, I've been slightly disappointed in the yarn selection. It's pretty commercial, and I find a lot of Swedish wool to be pretty itchy. And it's not like, okay, this is really soft, and this is like merino, and, you know, so is this. But I also knit with a lot of more rustic yarns. The Durarum Natura, which I didn't even say that that's what this was this time, but maybe you knew from last time, for the Redford sweater, is a more rustic yarn. It's also very soft, and it is merino. But it's woolen spun, and it doesn't have quite the manufactured feel of something like this. And I think, you know, okay, saying that this has a manufactured feel doesn't sound very good, but don't get me wrong, because I really do like this kind of yarn too. I think it just really depends what your purpose is and what project you are working on for what kind of yarn will suit it best. But I've been wearing my Quandary hat, I can't remember, which is a pattern by Michelle Wong, and I knit it last year in a gray wool, which I bought actually at a yarn festival in Sweden, and it's from a Swedish sheep. I think it's called like fin ull, which just means like fine wool, but I think it is a specific type of sheep. Not 100% sure on that. Anyway, so I was wearing that for a couple of days before it started raining while it was cold, and it's really itchy on my forehead, which is really unpleasant. And I like that hat a lot, so I think that I might pick a different yarn and knit it again at a little bit of a tighter gauge, and then with a different yarn. Like Brooklyn Tweed Loft and Shelter, I know can be a bit itchy for some people, and they wouldn't wear it around their neck, for example. I can wear it around my neck. I can wear it as a sweater. I don't have a problem with it at all. I definitely used to be more sensitive to wool, but yeah, I just find that, I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm not a wool wimp, but I find a lot of Swedish wool to be too itchy. Like, it's beyond the comfortable point. So that's kind of unfortunate, because at the festival that I'm going to this weekend, a lot of the yarn is, in the past two times I've been, a lot of the yarn has been either Regia Opal type manufactured sock yarn, which is fine. I'm not a huge fan of self-striping yarn in general, and that's usually kind of what that is. But that kind of yarn, there's a lot of fun fur, sequiny yarn, kind of like novelty yarn, I guess you could say, which is also not my style. And then the sort of local yarn that might be there is oftentimes this Swedish wool, which is obviously we're in Sweden, but I just find it too itchy. So I'm hoping that maybe this year I can find something else, and if not, there's also a lot of sewing stuff there, and now that I have a sewing machine, I might be also looking for some fabrics. I think that is about it for this week. I can't really think of anything else. I'm planning on putting this on my heater, actually, so that I can maybe measure for my sweater tonight and get it started so that I can work on it in class tomorrow. It was a very long lecture today with nothing to work on after I finished this tiny swatch. So that is my plan for the evening. I think we are also going to go out for pizza. Thomas has just had 2 days with 3 exams, and I don't feel like cooking, so that's the plan. I was really wanting to just come home and watch podcasts, but it seems that a lot of you are still recovering post-Rhinebeck, perhaps, or just not recording at the moment. So I decided, well, maybe I'll get an episode out there for you guys to enjoy. That's it anyway for this week, and I will see you next time. Happy knitting!